Do you have a landline phone, or would you like to have a landline phone but don't want to pay a monthly subscription for it? In this video, I'm going to show you how to leverage your existing internet service to provide phone service for your landline phones without a subscription. How is that even possible, you ask? Is this real life? Stick around to find out. When we last left our heroes, we learned how to save money on cable TV by cutting the cord and installing an HD antenna to enjoy free, over-the-air, high-definition television broadcasts. Then we learned how to supercharge our television viewing experience by leveraging TiVo's ability to record these over-the-air broadcasts and provide a unified interface to the various streaming services we subscribe to, like Amazon Prime, Netflix, YouTube, etc. This time around, we're going to fire our telephone service provider and replace them with a little piece of hardware that's going to allow us to make and receive calls through our existing telephone system. We'll use this in conjunction with Google Voice, which is generally free in the United States and Canada, to take our telephone communications to the 21st century. I'm not even kidding, it's that good. To get this party started, you're going to need a phone, obviously, internet access, which I assume you have if you're watching this video, a Google Voice account, which you can set up for free, a cell phone with service, and that little piece of hardware that I mentioned, which is called the Obi200 or Obi202. Google Voice will provide us with a free phone number and a supercharged virtual switchboard operator that can record voicemails, selectively forward your calls to multiple phones, block spam, create custom greetings, receive text messages, and a host of other powerful features. The Obi device enables us to make and receive calls through Google Voice using our existing home phone line. It comes in two flavors, the Obi200 and the Obi202. I happen to pick up the 202. The major difference here is that the 202 supports two phone lines, where the 200 just supports a single phone line. For most people, that won't be an issue. I actually don't need a second phone line, but for $20 more, it seemed like a small investment for a little bit of future-proofing. To get everything all set up and connected, if you don't already have one, you'll need a Google Voice account. You can get one by going to voice.google.com. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Next, you'll have to accept Google's terms and conditions, and then you'll have to decide whether you want a brand spanking new number or if you want to port an existing mobile one. Incidentally, if you want to port a landline phone to Google Voice, you can't do it outright, but there is a workaround, and you can do what I did. You can port your landline phone to maybe a spare or old cell phone that you have, add that to your mobile plan, and once it's ported over to your mobile plan, you can then report it back into Google Voice. It's a little convoluted, but it works, and a really good way to keep your landline phone number, especially if you've had it for a long time. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to request a new number. But before one can be assigned to me, I have to add a forwarding phone. Google requires this because they are giving you a free number, and they want to make sure you're not being a pig about things and just hoarding a bunch of their numbers for free. So they want to create a one-to-one association between this account and a cell phone. They'll then run a quick verification by giving you a call and having you enter in a unique code. And once that's completed, you'll be able to select your new number. And this is pretty cool because you can actually select it by area code, or actually a string of text, or a combination thereof. That's it. At this point, your Google Voice account should be set up. You should have a unique phone number. And the only thing left to do is go to the settings and verify that your calls are being forwarded to Google Chat. That's how we're going to make the phones in our house ring. The forwarding phone that you put previously, the one that I have checked off here as home, you can actually uncheck if you don't really care to have that ring, but you could also have that simultaneously ring when calls come into your main Google Voice number. And in fact, you can add additional phones. You can have 3 or 4 different lines ringing every time someone calls your Google Voice number, which is super cool. In fact, I have mine set up so that when someone calls my house phone rings, but also my cell phone and my wife's cell phone. So essentially we can answer the call from anywhere. Okay, next up we got to get our Obi on. If we want all the phones in our house to ring when a call comes in, we have to connect the Obi hardware. For me, that means I have to connect the telephone line to the telco in, which is the gray phone cable you see here. And because this is a voice over IP solution, I'm going to have to connect it to the internet. Finally, a little power, and away we go. Our final order of business is to link the Obi device with our Google Voice account. You can do that right from the ObiTalk website. Once you're logged in, if it's not selected already, you're going to want to add a device. Make sure you check off, I want to configure Google Voice on this device, and follow the instructions with regard to adding a device. Note you will get a warning that tells you that emergency service calls may or may not be supported by this device, so you have to assume that it won't be supported. Now, the good news is they do have integration with a third party that will allow you for $15 a year integrate emergency 911 service. So if you need that, it is available for a price. If your home security system is going to share this phone line, you're going to want to check off use this service for a security alarm line. Click Finish and Setup. And if you see Google Voice connected, you are ready to place and receive calls on your home phone. All right, so was it worth it? Let's go to the videotape and see. Let's crunch some numbers. All right, prior to this, I had Time Warner cable for my phone service. For the sake of argument, let's just say that it cost me $0 to set up. It probably cost me something, but let's just make pretend it cost me nothing. My monthly fee was $19.99 for an annual fee of $239.88. Switching over to the Obi202, I splurged. It cost me $69.99 for the hardware, $0 monthly fee. My total cost is $69.99 per year for a savings of $169.89 or 70.82%. That's the first year. If I look at the second year, I have to pay this amount again in year 2. If I stick with Time Warner, I have to pay nothing to stay with the Obi202 and my Google Voice solution. So winning. If I wanted to save even more money, I could have picked up the Obi200, which would have cost me $49.99, $0 monthly cost, total cost at the end of year 1, $49.99, a savings of $189.89 for a 79% savings. And of course, the total year 2 cost would have also been $0. So here I'm in this perpetual $239.88 if I stick with your typical voice over IP solution from a Time Warner cable or an AT&T or whatever. And in this scenario, I save money right from the gate and even more on subsequent years. Now, it doesn't have E911 service, so if we want to compare apples to apples, if I wanted to pay that extra fee, it would cost me $15 a year, not a month, but a year. So, you know, this would be $15 per year. And you'd also want to increase this by $15 a year. The beauty of the whole thing is that there are no hidden fees, there are no additional surcharges or taxes or all the nonsense that you get when you go with a big provider. Plus, it's not all just about saving money, it's also getting superior service, which I believe you do get with a Google Voice solution over anything that you can get anywhere else. Anyway, that's all I got. As always, a link to everything I've discussed is in the description below. I also advise you to check there often. Sometimes things change or I have an afterthought that didn't make it into the video, and I always update my description with that information, so check there for the latest and greatest. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, leave them below. Make sure you hit the little subscribe button. Is it here or here? I don't know. I put it somewhere in the corner. It's red. It's a square. It says subscribe. Hit it. I'll see you next time.